Okay, guys, see this poor woman here? She got a hold of some of them. Not really. Um, get this. If you haven't already, it's probably, like last month's news, and I'm just barely getting to it now, but this is House Speaker John Boehner to resign from Congress. Who would have thought? Before I start this, what what part of land of the free and home of the brave does today's world not get about this country? You know, everybody is offended with the slightest little things. Oh, I don't like the way she dresses. Or women shouldn't wear pants. Or what's that on her head? Or, speak this language or that language. Or go to this school or that school. Or you come from this side of town while I come from the other side of town, so we shouldn't be friends even though, for all intents and purposes, we are. It's just ridiculous. We are becoming the land of absurdity. Think about it. We're absurd. If you were an intelligent life form from another planet and visited here, and let's say you stopped by in the 50s and, that little blue marble Earth, that's pretty cool. And then you go cruising, and then you come back in the year 2015 and realize that everything is offensive now. Everything is, you have to check and double check and triple check to see if, people aren't going to be offended or you don't get sued or some ridiculous absurdity. Absurdity. Anyway. Hi, man. Boehner, we're going to resign from Congress. It's a matter of time. Well, I think he has a problem. Now, I have to be careful with how I say this because, look, I've had neighbors. I've actually taken people to places where they get better. So I kind of know a little bit of the signs, but if someone drinks a lot and becomes alcoholic, you tend to become either cold and your personality becomes amplified. Okay, if you're an asshole sober, you're going to be a real asshole drunk. If you are really nice sober, you're going to be an angel on earth under the influence of alcohol. Okay? Most times. There's always an exception to the rule. I understand that. But this is why I think people that have pretty good positions have to leave. Now you're going to hear a completely different excuse, but there's my take on why. And before this turns into 30 minutes and Bandicam only gives me 10, here goes.
Has issued this statement saying, quote, "The Speaker's plan was to serve only through the end of last year. Leader Cantor's loss in his primary changed that calculation. The Speaker believes
we all knew that Ryan was not going to
through
try to be leadership here, though.
Yeah, let me just continue to read this statement for a second, Libby. The Speaker believes putting members through prolonged leadership turmoil would do irreparable damage to the institution." So continue there, Libby. Remind us of what happened to Cantor and how that affected Boehner's ability to resign at the time he wanted to.
Boy, such an interesting twist, Stephanie. Eric Cantor, who was the number 2 in the House, was primaried. He was beat in a shocking turn of events in a primary by a conservative in his own Virginia district. That was totally unexpected. And so when the writing was on the wall that he would not be returning to Congress, that he would have no future there for the time being, it really shook things up, and it changed the succession and the game plan. So Speaker Boehner, the thought is, stuck around longer than he planned because he no longer had Eric Cantor to turn things over to. And so the Speaker may have hung in there. He's gone through a lot of intense battles in his 5 years as Speaker, including a previous government shutdown fight in which he tried to convince his caucus, let's not do this, and they wanted to do it anyway. And the likes of Ted Cruz, who's now running for president, were some of those really pushing for a government shutdown. So he's facing that once again in just the next week. The timing of this announcement is incredibly significant. And I'm so sorry to interrupt you earlier, but as we look for who might vie to rise, Paul Ryan has not indicated he wants this job right now, which may be a very savvy strategy for him as someone who is seen as having potential not just for leadership in the House, but also leadership among Republican ranks long term. This is going to be a very tough job.
This resignation, as significant as it is, and it's seismic for the House, does not undermine or diminish the afterglow of His Holiness Pope Francis's visit to the Congress yesterday.
And there you go. Boy, a little catty there at first. Well, John Boehner is leaving Congress. Do you think all of this craziness on the Republican side is intentional, or just happens to be the whole party happens to be falling apart at this particular time, where we kind of like don't have much choice come election time, and pretty much left with two choices which really aren't, and that'll be Hillary and or Jeb. I say and or because just like when Obama won, supposedly, and Hillary was Democrat, I don't know what's going to happen, but the Republican Party, for some reason, sure chose a very strange time to fall apart. And even though I'm not so much a Bernie Sanders fan, I am a fan of fairness, and for being hot on Hillary's heels, that poor guy is barely mentioned. This isn't an election. And more, the average person, that's who we have to get to, guys. The average person is going to realize that it is indeed a selection like those kooky, crazy, screwed up conspiracy theorists have been saying all along. So, hang tight. Who knows? Your work is appreciated, one way or another.